Hello there, students. Today we're going to be going over graphing, and when our graph is in what we call vertex form. So when it looks like that, we're going to go ahead and graph it. Our A value affects the shape, just like what we learned in our previous lesson. So if A is positive, the graph opens up. If A is negative, the graph opens down. If A is greater than 1, it's going to be narrower. If it's less than 1, it's going to be wider. To graph the equation, this is what we're going to do. We're going to identify the vertex, which is our h and k value. So h and k are the vertex. We're going to use the value of A to determine the width of it. And then we're going to connect the points as we go forward from there. So one thing to point about the h and k value. Our h is always, there we go. Our h value is always by the x. And our k value is always outside. So this is my h value, this is my k value, and my a is out front. So if there's no a value, remember that would be a 1. So there's my a value. So when we graph the vertex, we want to identify our h and k. The only thing that we notice is h is opposite the sign. So it's plus 1. So really this is a negative 1. So my vertex is negative 1, and my k value is negative 2. So I graph that point, negative 1, negative 2. That's my vertex right there. Then my a value is 1, so just go up and 1 to the right, up and 1 to the left. That's all you have to do. And then just make this a parabola. Don't make it a V. So bend it out, make it look like that. Now, it does, we'll go through it from there. This right here is what we call a minimum point. It's the lowest our graph ever gets. So anytime our graph opens up, our vertex would be a minimum point. So we go ahead and graph this at negative. So remember that's a negative 1 would be in front of there. So that's my a value. This is my h value. That's my k value. So to find my vertex, I use my h and k value. I just remember opposite the sign. So it's minus 3. So my h value is positive 3. My k value is whatever I see. So once again, here's my vertex. So I go over 3, up 4, put a point. Then my a value is negative 1. So now that tells me to go down 1 and to the right, down 1 and to the left. Then I make my parabola going through here. Now, this graph now is the highest. It's a hill now. Okay, this is a valley. So in a valley, we get a low point. In a hill, we get the highest point. So we call this point right here, this is our maximum value. Okay, so we'll go through 4 more examples. So again, I just go through and I want you to identify. Here's my a value, here's my h value, my k value. So my vertex is just my h and k. If you need to, write that, h and k. Just remember, it's always opposite the h value. So my h is positive 1, so it's going to be negative 1. My k value is whatever I see, so that's negative 2. And so now I graph that, negative 1, negative 2. My a value is negative 3, so from that point I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. 1, 2, 3, and so I go right and left. Does that make sense? My a value is negative, so my graph should open down. That's good. And then it should be skinnier because it's greater than 1. And this right here, it's a hill, so this is the maximum value. My vertex is the maximum. Come through here, identify A, H, K. So my vertex, which is my H and K value. So I go to my H, opposite the sign, so it's positive 1. And my K value, which is negative 7. So I go positive 1, negative 7, all the way down here. Then my a value is positive 2, so I go up 1, 2, and over 1, up 2, over 1. And it's going to be, again, rounded, so it's not just a straight line. It's going up like this. Now we have a valley, so this is the low point. So this would be a minimum value right there. Last ones to go through. So if we look at it, okay, so remember our h value is always in the parenthesis and our k value is outside. So I give it the a value is right in front, so that's my a value. If I look at it, there is no h value. This is a k value. So my h value, if it's not there, would be 0. So when we go vertex, there is no h value, so I'd say 0. My k value is 5, so I graph 0, 5. Then it says it's -4 for my a value, so I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, over 1, down 4, left. So because my graph opens down, this would make this a maximum value. Come through here, I go, all right, my a value is 1, so it's my a value, there's always going to be an a value in every single problem. If it's not, then it's not a quadratic function. So you're always going to have an a value, so that's a. So this 4 now, that's my h value. It's inside the parentheses, which means my k value equals 0 in this case. So when I go to my vertex, my h value is here. It's opposite the sign, so it's -4. There is no k value, so that's 0. So I graph -4, 0. My a value is 1, so from there I go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Graph opens up, so this makes this a minimum value. So that's how you go through. You identify your h and k value and your a value. Remember, your h value is always opposite the sign. And do remember, if your a value is positive, the graph opens up. If it's negative, it opens down. And we kind of use this a value as a slope, but don't make it a line. It's a curve as you go through.